Welcome Aquarius to your in-depth monthly horoscope for October 2023 for the Sun or the Ascendant. I'm going to give you some standout details to look out for, but please stay with me. I will explore in much greater depth all the ins and outs, particularly relevant to your sign. Now, you're an air sign, and this month begins with the Sun and Mars also in your sister air sign of Libra. So that's very much about adventure and expansion. But you know, Mars forges a brilliant link with Venus in the first week, which could spark an attraction with someone. With Venus moving through your 7th house of relating since the 5th of June, relationships generally have been much to the fore in your situation over the last few months. But then Venus moves, and it moves deep, but does go into an opposition with your traditional ruler of Saturn. So I need to share that with you. Now, we have a solar eclipse right at the heart of this month, which is fantastically exciting for you because it really does point towards a very exciting next 1.5 year period that's developing for you. But you will need to be mindful of what's going on at home and in your emotional situation, and that is informed by the lunar eclipse, which occurs on the 28th of the month. So lots to share with you. Please stay with me for more. I'd just like to share a very exciting opportunity with you. If you order your year 2024 personal horoscope forecast now, based on your personal birth data, I'll prepare for you the rest of year 2023 free of charge. Plus, in my special 30% off package, you can get your character analysis report, your life roadmap. This will give you searing insights into the patterns that have played out in your life so far, but give you a much more intimate understanding of how to make the most of these. Please see beneath this video for more. And finally, if you've yet to watch your year 2024 zodiac forecast, please see the link below where you can do so for free. So Aquarius, as you burst into October 2023, I think it will be with a lot of enthusiasm. With the Sun and Mars in your 9th house, this is very much going to emphasize that part of you that likes to be free, independent and explore. But on the 3rd, Black Moon Lilith moves where it's been for the last 9 months in your sector of relating into the deep 8th house, which is very psychological but also very mysterious and can give us a yearning for greater intimacy. Now, Venus is going to join Lilith on the 9th, but before then angles brilliantly to Mars. So Venus has been going through that very long transition in the sign of Leo in your opposite sign. May have been lots of dialogue this month, maybe even presenting ideas in your business or your work, and are using your skills of diplomacy very effectively, or there has around your love life been lots of possible connections. But this one between Venus and Mars is really, really striking, because Mars could give you that extra bit of confidence to reach out to someone you're drawn towards if you are single. But on the 5th, Mercury, the planet of communication, which has been going through its 10-week extended journey in the sign of Virgo, which for you is about shared finance, business, anything to do with pensions, savings, legacies, that emerges into Libra too. What Mercury demands here is the truth. The 9th house, the conversations you're thinking can be about getting clarity. And if things have been a bit muddled around all those areas I mentioned, I think now it's like you can come into the Sun. It all seems that much clearer, which is going to be really gratifying. But from the 3rd through to the 12th, despite the fact that Mars forges that very alluring link with Venus, it's actually forging a very abrasive right angle with Pluto. And Pluto, all but those 11 weeks earlier this year, has been in a very psychological part of your situation for the last 15 years. And it could be that because Mars, now Mercury and the Sun are all in your 9th house of truths, that you're going to be much more passionate about asserting your version of a situation, and it may be that something that's been hidden, has festered, an injustice, maybe you're going to share it with someone notable. It could be in a formal sense. You know, maybe someone's done something that's grossly unfair and you do want to actually push back in some kind of legal way, because that's what the 9th house is about. And the 12th house certainly can see us compressing injustices and hurts and keeping them inside rather than ventilating them. Now, once Pluto gets back to Aquarius on the 21st of January, and of course the Sun moves on the same day, you're really going to move much more into the present. But there may still be some unfinished business, and I think this month could see it come into the surface. So as much as Mercury, the Sun and Mars are all pushing you to get out and about, be more spontaneous, live in the moment, create some excitement and some drama, there may be some very painful and sensitive strands that do need ventilating, air. And of course Libra is about fairness, and the 9th house, that higher truth. And also on the 9th, when Venus does move out of Leo, it goes into your 8th house. That can be very good in terms of receiving benefits via someone else. So someone else's generosity could help you at this point of the month. It's just your traditional ruler is opposite Venus, and I feel that there could be a squabble actually over a financial matter over these next few days, particularly if there's a separation going on in a romantic relationship. Perhaps it's down to who has what possessions or what money, even over animals, because Venus in the sign of Virgo, very much about pets. Just be conscious of that. Or perhaps there's something that you've aspired to get and you're realizing it's more expensive than you thought, and you may have to go cool on this idea until things revive. Still, on the 11th, Pluto does go direct. It went retrograde in your sign on the 1st of May, but that ended on the 11th of June when it reversed back into your 12th house. But on the 12th, Mars powers into a very dominant and powerful part of your situation. The sign of Scorpio, which it rules traditionally, Mars here wants you to gain much greater recognition. And if you're someone who tends to be a little bit reserved in pushing yourself forwards, or you feel it's a bit unseeming, raising your profile and hustling, unfortunately, the way the modern world is, everybody seems to want a degree of attention. So we've got lots of people competing to share their points of view. But if you have got special talents and abilities, I feel that Mars going through this area is going to give you a fantastic opportunity to get people to be much more conscious of the talents you have. But the great thing about Mars moving here is it will give you a huge amount of extra conviction. And it's also linking straight away with your traditional ruler of Saturn. So if there is a professional matter, you could stand up your position with a lot of authority and a lot of clarity, and it may be good if you're negotiating a deal or a package for a job. But the 14th sees the solar eclipse, the first in the series of Libra and Aries. Eclipses work in axes. So for you, house 9 is the beginning point. We then have the mirror through a lunar eclipse at the end of March, but then the mirror in terms of a solar eclipse on the 8th of April in the sign of Aries. But then on October the 4th, 2024, we have another Libran solar eclipse. And that one's going to be conjunct Mercury. This one is in a quincunx with your modern ruler of Uranus. So the solar eclipse over the next year and a half is really encouraging you to be much more daring. Now I must stress, I don't mean taking risks. I mean really finding that spark to really activate within yourself all the things that you really wanted to ever do. But that will take a real push, and it will mean stepping outside your comfort zone. But because Uranus and Jupiter are in house 4, that's all about your home and emotional security. Uranus is a very restless influence, and it hasn't made it easy around your home life or family matters since May to November 2018, particularly if you're born right at the start of Aquarius, the first 3 or 4 days, for example. But then from 2019 in the March, bit by bit, every Aquarius through to anyone who's got degrees in their natal chart up to 25, whether it is the Sun, the Ascendant, or other personal planets, has been affected by Uranus. So this solar eclipse is saying be more enterprising, galvanizing, seek to be much more expansive, but Uranus is saying, how will that feel for my home and emotional life? So I think it suggests there's going to be a lot of change coming, but it can be really exciting, but at times it may be a bit unsettled. So that brings us to the 19th Aquarius, which triggers a right angle between Mercury and Pluto. Mercury in your 9th house, remember, the higher truth, and Pluto in the 12th house, hidden enemies and the things we can't quite see. The combination of these two, plus the Mercury cazimi, which occurs on the 20th, could shine light on something that you might want to ventilate and get into the open, or someone may want to share something around your approach. Pluto in the 12th house has been really challenging since 2008, particularly if you've got any Libra planets also in your natal chart along with your Aquarius energies. And I feel that this particular point could be really psychologically important because it's followed almost straight away by the Sun squaring up with Pluto too. But the cazimi, a superior conjunction, means that as we see it from planet Earth, the Sun is amplifying the energies of Mercury, and the 9th house really can give you a great ability to see the big picture, but the 12th house can be what's hidden and shielded. The 9th house wants to amplify and open things up. Something has to give. So this and the Sun squaring up with Pluto too could see some very sensitive matters coming into the open, but it could be somewhat of a release. Now, if you were talking to someone in confidence, perhaps such as a counsellor or some kind of life coach or an astrologer, this actually can be very helpful to you. It could, however, be something that does need to be discussed that's very painful to do with your past and therefore tender. So there's all sorts of different ways that that particular set of energies can manifest. But whereas Mars' square with Pluto is very raw and powerful and a bit wild, could be even a bit forceful, I think Mercury is more about the expression and the Sun is about the deeper passionate energies that you need to thrive, which is about growth. And that's what that solar eclipse is very much about over the next year and a half. It's really pushing out and bringing a much greater sense of exhilaration and excitement to your world. But then as Mercury and Mars meet, which becomes exact on the 29th, they go into an opposition with Jupiter in that part of your chart to do with your home. If you have got a desire to move home and live somewhere different that has the space and the freedom and flexibility you really want, I think towards the end of this month, your desire to achieve that outcome can be absolutely fierce. Or is it that you're going to put all your efforts into your professional situation, but you can come across, you can convey your ideas with a lot of thrust. When Mars and Mercury are together in Scorpio, you're really going to be impossible to ignore. People are going to become so much more aware of the qualities you have. And I think that Jupiter in an opposition with these two just sees you wanting to feel fulfilled emotionally as well as professionally, or in terms of recognition. But that brings us to the 28th and the lunar eclipse in Taurus. This is the last in a series between Taurus and Scorpio. It does feature that opposition between Mercury and Jupiter. And I think working in tandem with the solar eclipse of the 14th as you go into the last quarter of this year, but also the first quarter of 2024, you need to expand and you need space to breathe and to think, but you also need to feel very secure about the way you go about that. So they're very different energies that you're going to have to balance over this next 6 months. It's not to say it's impossible, but it does point towards changing your home in some kind of way to modify it, moving altogether, changing your job to give you the resources in order to change where you live. But whichever way this goes, I think some kind of alteration or new beginning or a greater desire for discovery is really triggered at the heart of this month, and it is going to go on for the next year and a half. It's been a real pleasure being with you, Aquarius. If you'd like to check out your year 2024 deep dive astrology and horoscope forecast, please see the link beneath this video. But for now, take care and please like, share, comment or subscribe.